Welcome in, everybody, to the Bourbon, Buzzed, and Ballin podcast. We are your hosts, Colby and Dutt, and we got a good show for you tonight. We're going to talk about some current events, some real hot topics, and our main content tonight, we're going to talk a little NBA off season. Not a topic that we normally talk about. We've been all football, but
right.
We're going to talk a little NBA tonight.
Show the Hoopers a little love.
Yeah, we got to. There's been some pretty cool off-season maneuvers by some teams, and then we're going to wind it up with, I think, one of my favorite topics to discuss and argue about, and that's college rivalry.
It's always a fun topic.
It is.
Whenever you're out with other people, and people love to talk about which are the best rivalries.
That's right.
We'll get into that later in the show. But as everybody knows, we like to start our shows off with an opening toast. Tonight we have three people that we'd like to toast. The first one, it seems like here lately every week the sports world is losing legends.
Yeah.
And lost another legend last week. Len Dawson passed away. He was a Hall of Fame quarterback, Super Bowl champion, AFL. He won 3 championships with the AFL before coming to the NFL. And he was also a Hall of Fame broadcaster. He spent 40 years in the broadcast world.
Right.
Yeah. I remember him most when he hosted Inside the NFL on HBO. He did that for 24 years. And then after that, he did 5 years of analyst on the AFC, like for CBS, the AFC programming. And then he ended his career just doing the Chiefs radio. So, great person.
Yeah.
Long NFL career.
I remember him most for beating my Vikings in the Super Bowl IV.
I know that's a sensitive subject for you.
I think the Vikings were a prohibitive favorite in that game, and the Len Dawson-led Chiefs.
Well, then you probably won't want me to say that he was also the MVP of that Super Bowl.
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember watching that game because I was actually born a month later.
Right.
But as a lifelong Vikings fan, and growing up, we collected cards, and always had the football cards with the Super Bowls on them, and I studied those cards. And anyway, so.
Anyway, hate that happened.
Yeah. Sad,
who else do we want to toast tonight?
Well, I think given the recent events over the weekend or all of the last week, the Little League World Series.
It's always fun to watch.
Yeah, that's been on my bucket list. I've never gotten up there for the Little League World Series, but definitely something that I think I would like to attend. But certainly I would like to give congratulations to the team from Hawaii. That was a pretty big domination.
Yeah, I was going to say dominate.
Yeah.
13-3 in 4 innings.
Yeah, and I believe it was a 56 run differential through the whole. Entire.
They were completely dominant, and it was Hawaii's 4th.
Yeah, right. And a lot of those players, it was their back-to-back going to Williamsport,
Gotcha.
And so they had a sour taste in their mouth from losing last year, and so congratulations to them. And I'm going to piggyback off of that just real quick.
Okay.
I would like to extend, a heartfelt, I just feel bad for the kid, Easton Oliverson, who fell out of his bunk fractured his skull, had a brain bleed on the eve of the World Series. So he worked so hard to get there, and then unfortunately, has a freak accident in the dorms there at Williamsport.
Is there an update on his health?
Yeah. So he's had 2 surgeries since, and his family reported yesterday that he's doing great and he's on the mend. And so, and his little brother, was brought in to play for him. Yeah. So that was cool. But I definitely want to wish you well, Easton, and I'm so sorry that this had to happen. And hopefully it's a full recovery, and we look to see you in the future.
Well, and kind of on the same lines with that, Brian Robinson, former Alabama running back, current rookie for the Washington Commanders, he was a victim of, they're not sure if it was a carjacking or just a robbery, but he took 2 bullets, one in his glute, one in his lower leg. He had surgery today. He had just... They didn't officially announce it, but it was pretty much given that he had just won the starting role, RB1 for the Commanders. I was looking forward to having him on my fantasy team.
Sure.
I'm sure a lot of people wanted to jump on that as kind of a rookie sleeper, but
Be interesting to
they
see his
haven't-
recovery.
yeah, they haven't ruled him out. They have not put any kind of time frame on it. But obviously, with bullet injuries and having to have
right.
surgery,
Infections, etc.
Exactly.
So hopefully he recovers full.
yeah. So we
Full, for sure.
we're thinking about him and his family. We hope he has a good recovery. So
Yeah.
we'll just raise our glasses
Yep.
to Len Dawson, to Hawaii, Brian
Easton.
Robinson, to
Yep.
Easton. Easton and Brian get better soon. Cheers.
Cheers. That's good, man. That's good. So, why don't you tell everybody what you're sipping on?
Well, ever since we raided that chicken cock, it's been one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm sipping on tonight. Just got it.
That was good.
Sipping on it neat. It's become one of my favorites. I will always have a bottle of it in my collection. Put it with a good steak, good piece of fish, or just having a good conversation with your buddy.
Yeah, no, that chicken cock that made our neat rating. We liked that one. That was one of what, 2?
Only 2 that we've given out so far. Maybe tonight at the end of the show there might be more. We'll see. But so far, just that and the Willets, the only 4 that we've given out so far. How about you? What you sipping on tonight?
I got a little Yellowstone, man. This was last week.
Yep.
Last week. This was the little mid-range Yellowstone that I think we like.
Yeah.
Mainly economics played a role in this particular Yellowstone, but I like it. I'm
smooth.
sipping it on it neat. I probably would go with a rock.
A rock on it, yeah. Which is what we rated.
That's what we rated it.
Yeah.
But for the camera, for the show tonight, I didn't want to put a rock in
That's
it. I
right.
was going to sip on
That's
it
right.
neat. So
All right, well,
yeah,
we've done the opening toast. We've talked about what we're sipping on.
We got
I
some-
didn't mention to those that aren't watching us on YouTube, our Spotify and Apple listeners, but I am repping the B-Rob jersey today.
Yeah.
Hoping he has a speedy recovery, but I did want to show him some love. Put on the B-Rob jersey, and
I'm repping.
I see you're repping us.
I'm repping the podcast, man. I got it all.
New hat,
Got the new hats.
new T-shirt.
Check the hats out. The hats look good, man. I like them.
Yeah.
I like the shirts. So let's talk about some hot topics.
Yeah, speaking
man.
of this hot wardrobe, let's just come in hot right now.
Let's do it.
And we just spoke about Brian Robinson. Something positive that happened with the University of Alabama this past week was Nick Saban.
That's right.
8 years, $93.6 million. They had to bump him back up ahead of Kirby.
Yeah.
So now he's
Don't take it personal, Kirby, but the goat has to be on the top.
Well, and I think it's actually a clause in his contract. So anytime a coach goes above him,
It's a clause that he must be the top
he's
dog.
got to be the highest. He's the GOAT.
That
He's
sounds
gotta be the
like
highest
a goat.
pick.
That sounds like Coach Saban.
So yeah,
Don't blame him.
it's going to be an average of 11.7 a year. It's going to take him till he's 79 years old, and he says he plans on honoring the entire length of
That's
that
right.
contract.
They could pay him twice that, and they still wouldn't touch his actual worth.
Yeah, no, he is for
And that's not anything to do with. That's not just football. That's
No.
Everything to do with what he's done at the uni. I mean, you and I have seen. the university change 10 times.
Enrollment is about double.
Yeah.
And the amount of applications is about quadruple.
That's right.
They actually have to turn people away.
The Saban effect.
They've expanded the highways. There's all kinds of condos being built, apartments, hotels. Yes.
Yeah, he's changed Tuscaloosa in dramatic ways that you can't even measure.
Right.
So the money he's being paid, it doesn't even touch his worth.
Well, and then, I can't remember the number, but his players, I think, have eclipsed $1 billion in the NFL.
Nice.
He's had 41 first-round draft picks.
Right.
And this is just at Alabama. This doesn't include Michigan State or LSU. So he's had 41 number one draft picks, 4 Heisman Trophy winners. They've been ranked. He's been there 15 seasons.
Right.
They have been ranked number one at some point in 14.
Yeah,
The
it's the
only season
longest
was the
running.
first season.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, yes.
I have that in my notes later on down the way too. That how many years number one Alabama's been under Nick Saban.
Yes.
Currently. No, it's worth it. I'm glad. I'm happy for him.
I'm happy for us.
Yeah, I'm happy for Alabama. We're gonna have him there till he's 80, 79.
Well, I mean, he might sign
well.
another extension after that.
Yeah.
You never know. So
hey, man, he's in good shape. He plays basketball.
Yeah, I mean,
Plays
if you
basketball
would never
daily.
know, you would never know his age
That's right.
if somebody didn't tell you. All right, so let's go from that.
Congrats, Coach.
Yeah,
Congrats.
yeah.
We're happy. Thank you
Yes,
so much
yeah,
to the
thank you.
university.
Yeah, my kids have been there for the past 8 years, and they've gotten to see 3 national championships, and is it 7 national championship appearances in those? Anyway, it's just ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, they should be so thankful for
Yeah,
what they got to
yeah.
experience
Yeah,
while they were
exactly.
there. Which, Calissa's still there, and hopefully she's going to get to see one more national championship.
Let's hope.
But so that was a positive thing. There was an ugly scene this past week in the NFL. They have. It seems like joint practices are becoming more and more the norm.
No, well, I think they're going to do away. They're going to have to consider doing away with joint practices because.
Yeah, so if our listeners didn't see it, Aaron Donald, I was about to say Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. I can't imagine Aaron Rodgers swinging a helmet.
Not Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Donald.
I can't picture Aaron Donald
I know, Aaron,
swinging the helmet. To be honest, I mean he is. He's a Hall of Famer
that's
still
so
playing.
out of character.
It is out of character.
But I mean, motions run. Myles Garrett, I don't know.
He's out of character too.
I don't really know his personality like we know Aaron Donald's, but this kind of makes you now think, well, maybe it was just a snap with Myles Garrett. But Garrett got 6 games. They suspended him basically the rest of the season that year. And it doesn't look like Aaron Donald's going to get anything because they don't police practice like they do games.
Yeah, they're going to leave it. They're going to leave it up to the Rams to make the decision. But he was swinging blindly.
2 helmets.
Yeah. No, I only saw the one.
No,
I'd leave it up to Donald to be able to wield 2. But he was swinging into a crowd of people. How's he know a coach wasn't in there trying to break things up and he gets hit with a helmet? It was.
Yeah, you hate to see that, but
I mean, I don't think he's ever been in trouble.
No, that's why I'm saying
never been in trouble.
It was so out of character for him.
But I'm sure. I mean, I don't even have an idea of. I mean, obviously, 6 game seems like the.
Well, if I had to guess, I'd say the Rams will probably fine him, but that's probably about all that we'll see out of that.
We'll leave it up to the Rams to make that decision. I was really shocked by that.
Yeah, and then another unfortunate incident that happened this week. Not really an incident, but Chet Holmgren,
draft pick, second round,
second
pick,
overall,
second overall pick. Yeah.
Liz Frank injury, tore the ligaments in his foot, so he's going to miss his rookie season.
Yeah, and there's a it was supposedly a hot, humid day in the gymnasium.
Pro-Am game.
Pro-Am. So now there's a big NBA discussion on what are they going to start mandating in the off season because so many pros travel around and play in these types of events to stay in shape, which you absolutely want your players staying in shape, but at the same time, are these courts being taken care of and what kind of danger is involved? And, he was guarding LeBron,
He was guarding LeBron
on a fast break, and he blew his foot out trying to keep up with LeBron, so that might be something to really think about.
And maybe this will give him a chance. He's a 7-footer, but he doesn't weigh but 195 pounds.
I was impressed with the fact that a 7'1", 195-pound kid is guarding LeBron on a fast break. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a good athlete, but
he is.
I would like to see him put a little weight on.
Yeah. So at any rate,
well, while we're talking basketball, one of our topics today is the NBA offseason. So let's jump right into the NBA offseason. Where you want to start?
Well, I think we should just start with to me I think the best player in the NBA is KD.
Kevin Durant.
I mean, I understand LeBron. I think LeBron is obviously fantastic.
I mean, if it's not 1-2, it's 1A, 1B.
Right.
I mean,
right. I mean, KD he's a mismatch issue. I love
speaking
KD.
of 195-pound 7-footers.
Yeah, but he's managed to play.
He plays
outside,
yeah, he's outside, so
but
he doesn't need the weight.
Yeah. So anyway, let's go with KD staying in Brooklyn.
Okay. Now
I think that's big news. What you got on that? I know you got some.
That was a total shit show.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, so originally I think it was KD trying to get his boy Kyrie a big long-term contract. Then it went from that to, all right, trade Kyrie to the Lakers, get him out of here.
Yeah.
Then it was KD saying, no, wait, trade me, get me out of here. And then it was, no, get rid of the coach and the GM, and then I'll stay here.
Right.
I mean, it was just
all the while KD's trying to squeeze a billionaire. You think you're going to squeeze the billionaire owner?
Yeah.
For all of these demands, and I'm actually happy that the owner
dug his
heels in and said,
he
"You're
said, no, this is my coach, this is my GM.
Yep.
We want you to play here, but we're not going to get rid of that." So yeah, that was the only thing that I do agree is the owner at least stood up for what he didn't cave to the superstars' demands.
Well, I mean, I think the thing about KD is I love his game, I love his abilities. But he's going to have to up his game. He's going to have to up his leadership to up his game to the point where Brooklyn can they're ready and poised to win in the NBA. But KD has to make.
Well, I don't think
jump.
that's who he is.
I know, but he's
going
to have to find that.
His persona is
because it ain't Kyrie.
And it ain't gonna be Ben Simmons.
No, and he hadn't even seen the court in how many years?
Right? Yeah. No, I mean. KD is not a vocal leader. He's a I'm gonna go out and show you how to play the game leader.
I get that, but he's gonna have to step his game up as a vocal leader because that's the type of guy he needs to be. Because it's not gonna be those other players.
Right.
There's the talents on the team.
Yeah.
And how much of a shit show would that have been with Kyrie going to LA with LeBron?
Actually,
you think that would have worked?
They made it work in Cleveland.
That's true. I did forget.
And that was without AD. I mean, AD's better than Kevin Love.
Did they really get along, though? They say they did, but no one gets along with Kyrie.
He's just a different.
He's a rare breed.
He is.
Wild turkey, rare breed.
Definitely a rare breed. I think he thinks the world is flat and the sky is purple.
The sky is red.
Well, speaking of the Nets, another topic. They traded. We talked about Ben Simmons, and they traded James Harden. That was supposed to be the big three last year: Kyrie, Harden, and Durant. But
right.
I think they played like 7 games together.
Yeah.
Some ridiculously low number like that. They traded Harden to the Sixers because the Sixers GM used to be Harden's GM in Houston. They have a close relationship. And then the thing that I got to tip my hat to Harden, he had a player option for this year for a ridiculous amount of money. And he opted out of it to re-sign at a lower price to give the Sixers a little more cap flexibility.
Cap room, yeah.
So I was impressed with that. That, to me, shows some leadership.
Yeah, I think Harden, he had a bad year. He was out of shape, I think, for the most of the year.
His hammies aren't holding up real good.
So I really look for. I don't really know. I don't really have much of an opinion on James Harden. As far as
the beard.
Yeah, he's clearly talented.
That crossover step back though.
Yeah, that travel, that crossover step back travel. I think he's got a chance to be comeback player of the year because if he comes back healthy and in shape.
Ironically, it could be between him and Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I don't look for Ben Simmons to be no comeback player of the year. Yeah, when's he proven?
All right.
Give me some stats.
I'm not going to give you some stats. I'm going to give you my comeback player of the year.
You like the Sixers, don't you?
Well, I grew up a Sixers fan because I was a Dr. J fan. I was actually going to wear my Dr. J jersey tonight, But then with the shooting that B-Rob went through, I was like, nah, I got to show B-Rob some
You
love.
get the feeling he's got a jersey for everything. I feel like I've never seen. Well, I seen your closet.
My jersey game's on point.
Yeah, you got a lot of jerseys.
I mean, look at the wall.
I'm gonna have to step it up.
Look
yeah,
at
but
the
these
wall.
aren't wearable.
Nah, but it's jerseys.
Yeah, that's true. The jersey game.
No, but what I was gonna say, you started mentioning comeback player of the year. There's a kid down in New Orleans
Yeah, I mean,
that's supposed to be ready for opening day.
I guess technically he, what he averaged in his first year, 28, 27 points.
I didn't pull those stats.
I
But
saw him, but I didn't commit him to memory.
now what I looked at was that Pelicans team was 36 and 46 last year, but they were the last team in the West. They were the 8th seed,
Right.
and that's without
Right.
Zion. Now, and they got a nice young core. Herbert Jones
Sure.
was
Mr.
the second team All Rookie. So they've got some players down there.
And have you seen the latest Instagram photos on Zion?
Oh yeah,
He looks.
oh yeah,
he looks good.
He looks ripped and
I read somewhere where they say he's 290.
nah.
I swear that's what I read. 290.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how viable, how truthful that is, but that puts him like 6 pounds away from his playing days at Duke.
yeah.
He looked pretty lean.
No, I'm saying I think he's less than 290.
Oh, I got you. Well, I saw 290
Yeah,
is what
yeah.
on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I was thinking like
I mean,
280.
I agree. I think he looks good to me. He looks good. I think he could be definitely in the mix for Player of the Year. But Harden's got such a resume. And then last year,
I don't know. I mean, I think he played enough last year that he might not be considered.
maybe so.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
So
Let's talk about the Jazz, since we've talked about the
Okay.
Jazz a little bit. Let's
Okay.
talk about their rebuilding.
Danny Ainge is out there now.
Yeah,
and he's blowing it up.
Yep. I
And I like
they
what he's doing.
Dismantled it, but
Oh,
look
yeah.
at. I mean, Rudy Gobert, 30 years old, and they send 4 players.
Now they got
They-
5 players and 5 draft picks in return.
Okay.
In return.
4 first conditional draft picks,
Yeah,
right? First round.
First round, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I like what they're doing, and that's still not even talking about Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah,
What if they deal Donovan Mitchell?
I think they will move him before the season starts. I still probably like the Knicks
yeah.
as the front runners to get Mitchell.
I got them as the biggest contender
But
too.
I like what they're, and that's what Ainge did with the Celtics. He got there, he blew it up, and now look where the Celtics are.
Right,
With
right.
that young core.
Yeah, I think it was wise. I mean, and the Timberwolves, I mean, they basically they've sold out for this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, Gobert. I mean, we were talking 7'11", but this is a 7'11"
7'11".
I mean, 7'1".
Damn, 7'11".
Manute Bol over here.
That's tall, 7'11".
I'm sorry, 7'1", elite defender who also averages 15.5 points and 15 rebounds.
I know, but I get it. I get it. The Timberwolves needed some big defender because Karl Anthony Towns couldn't defend in a urinal. I mean, he just won't defend.
Right.
But he's a scorer. So I get the whole Rudy Gobert.
I mean, I like it for both of them.
I mean, they got a
The
good core.
T-Wolves may have overpaid.
They've overpaid. I think they've overpaid, but I think they're selling out, for a championship for
Right.
sure. But I think they'll definitely be a force to be reckoned with.
All right. Well, there was a couple other trades, that I liked that went down. One was the Pistons trading Jeremy Grant to the Trailblazers for basically 3 future picks. Mm-hmm. And the Trailblazers, they pick up a kid that averaged 19.2 points, 4 rebounds, and 2.5 assists. And he's only, I didn't write down his age, but he's fairly young still.
Right.
I mean, got a lot of years ahead of him. So I thought that was a real good trade for the Trailblazers. And then the Pacers trading Brogdon to the Celtics.
Yeah.
That might be the
That
piece
might be the piece that the
that
Boston needed.
to take that next step. And
Yeah.
now Boston gave up 5 players, but I mean, you're talking into the bench players, and they gave up a 2023 first round pick. So really, Boston
Yeah,
stole him compared to what some of these other trades went for.
Their first round draft pick. It's not going to be.
It's going to be a late.
It's not even worth even.
Right, but they're
sweating over.
But they're getting back a kid, just like Grant averaged.
I think it was a
points.
piece of the puzzle that they needed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
They were in some talks with the Nets to maybe trade for KD when they were shopping him, which I don't really think they ever truly shopped him.
I was kind of hoping KD would go to
somewhere else,
Boston. But I would love to see KD win in Brooklyn. I would like to see, that city needs a championship. The Knicks need a championship. The Nets, Brooklyn needs a championship. I like the fact
you're talking about one of you're talking about the number one media market.
Yeah, and they're basketball crazy.
Yeah.
So they need a chip there, and I like the fact that I forget what I was going to say now. Bail me out.
Well, you're talking about the Knicks. You like?
Yeah. Oh, the Knicks.
No, the Nets. I'm sorry. You were talking about.
Well,
you were probably going to say that you're glad that they decided to hang on to KD.
Yeah, I'm glad they decided to hang on to KD, but I was thinking the Knicks need to get into the Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
They need to get into the Donovan Mitchell sweepstakes,
right.
And they need to open up the wallet,
right,
and just get him.
Well, and I do think the Knicks had the best move in free agency. Now when I say move in free agency, I'm not. Most of the top free agents re-signed and stayed with their original team. But as far as players that moved to a new team, I think the Knicks were the top one when they signed Jalen Brunson, 25-year-old point guard, which they needed a point guard.
Right.
He averaged 16.2 points, 3.9 rebounds, and 4.2 assists. So now if they can pair him with Donovan Mitchell and then some of the other younger pieces they have, some of the Duke players that they've drafted, then I think they could go somewhere.
Yeah, they got some blocks, building blocks for sure.
Right, but I do think that they had a really good move with
They need to make a
Brunson.
splash in the free agent market, and there's no other splash but Donovan Mitchell.
Right.
To me, I don't think Russell Westbrook is a splash,
No.
not a splash in a good way. And
that's too much money.
It is. It's too much money, and the Lakers, with keeping LeBron in the offseason, and they bring over Patrick Beverly.
I did like that trade.
I do too.
Although
but I think Patrick Beverly basically spells the end for Russell Westbrook, because those two are basically the same player, but Beverly is a better scorer and defender. He's a better player. He's a better shooter.
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook, he ain't a good shooter.
Not anymore.
He's been streaky in his career.
Well, and Russell's always been more of a drive the basket.
Right,
he's
right.
Not real. He's a slasher.
He's a paint guy.
Yeah, he's not really a jump shooter.
But that's not the game today, really.
Right.
So I like the Patrick Beverly signing, and to me, that almost looks like it spells the doom for Russell Westbrook in L.A.
I don't think they can do it. I don't think they can do anything. I think they're stuck with him.
Where's he gonna go?
I think they're stuck with him for
Nobody
one
wants
more
that
year.
contract.
I think they're stuck with him one more year.
I agree. I do
now,
agree.
Speaking of the Lakers,
can he handle diminished playing time?
The new coach says he's got a plan for how to use Westbrook. So we'll see if maybe now that there's a new coach out there, maybe we can see old Russ and he can contribute.
Yeah, it would be nice. I like Russ as a player. He's always had a good game, but
one thing I didn't like that happened in free agent was the Lakers lost Malik Monk, who I thought was, a younger player coming into his own. Last year he averaged 13.8 points, 3.4 rebounds, and 2.9 assists as a role player, as a bench player. And, he had a nice college career.
Yeah, do you know Malik Monk was drafted when he was drafted? He was drafted ahead. The Hornets picked him in the first round.
Yep, they did.
Over Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
How bad is that?
Yeah, not a good look.
Not a good look.
MJ.
And let's talk about our Queen City team. Let's talk about the Hornets a minute.
Okay.
Are you finished with
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I mean, the Hornets are in trouble, man. They're in trouble. They were actually, I thought they were on the cusp of getting into the playoffs last year, and they were building. And then Miles Bridges turns around and
gets arrested.
A stupid thing. Apparently a stupid thing.
Right.
I know it's the legalities are still in question.
Alleged.
And hopefully for the Hornets' sake, everything works out for Miles Bridges.
Right.
Because if they lose Miles Bridges, it's done.
Yeah.
It's done.
I didn't like when they got rid of Kemba. I thought Kemba was a nice fit.
Yeah. I mean, the Hornets, like I said, there was so much talk in the media about drafting Donovan, and then they come out of the blue with Malik.
Yeah.
And
LaMelo's turned out to be
that was a good pickup for sure.
Yeah.
Mitch Kupchak. I mean, he's good. I like him.
Yeah.
I like him back.
Oh yeah, he helped with some of the building some of the Lakers teams after he quit playing.
Yeah, but I think without Miles Bridges, if it doesn't work out, if he doesn't come back, clearly the Hornets will have a woeful season, and we'll be playing for a lottery pick for sure. Yeah, they got some nice picks. I like Mark Williams out of Duke. I think that was a rim protector that they needed. So, and I think he's got a lot of potential, but hopefully the Hornets figure it out.
Right. What else you got?
That's it, man.
That's pretty much all I have.
That covers the. There was a handful of other.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of touch on the high notes, point out a few things, and
I'm actually looking forward to the NBA season this year, whereas normally I don't. But since we're going to be covering all sports on our podcast, getting back into it, and starting to follow some of these younger players and watch some of these other names that I've always appreciated through the years. So it'll be fun. But this next topic to me is
a little college football rivalries.
It's the most fun discussion, and it is subjective because obviously you're gonna really appreciate your team and your rivalry.
Yeah, because you've been part of it.
Exactly.
So it's hard for you not to think it's the best rivalry because you lived it.
Yeah.
But there's.
But we're going to be objective.
Absolutely.
We're going to be objective.
In our pre-production meeting, I already surprised you.
Yeah.
So we'll save that for a little bit later on. But now I only rated the top 5 rivalries, and I know you went a little deeper. So why don't you kick us off with your bottom 5 rivalries?
Bottom 5, and then say okay.
And then we'll get into your bottom 5, your honorable mentions.
Okay.
And then we'll dive into the top 5.
All right. So we're gonna do the bottom 5, and this is number 10.
Okay.
So this is a tie. I couldn't come up with a tiebreaker, but I'm gonna go with Michigan State.
Okay.
And Auburn, Georgia.
Okay.
And I think Auburn-Georgia game is a fly under the radar rivalry because a lot of people don't understand that's the oldest rivalry in Southern football.
Yeah, it's been around for
a long time.
Longer than the Alabama-Auburn rivalry.
And it's been a good game. It's been a good game because most years the teams have been kind of going back and forth until the last few years. Obviously, Georgia's pulled ahead. And as far as the Michigan State game goes, again, these are regional biases in some of this, but
you would think that would be a bigger rival.
It's really
it is, but it really isn't.
It doesn't attract a national following, except for the fact that Michigan's fan base stretches.
I think Michigan State's more of a Michigan fan base, where
Yeah,
Michigan
exactly.
has got a national fan base.
All right, so I went with number 9. I went Florida State, Miami.
Right.
Now I know that has lost a lot of
Yeah, I mean,
steam.
if this were the late 80s, early 90s, yeah, that might have been in the top
Oh,
5.
that would have easily been in the top 5. In the 90s, these were the Goliaths.
Yes.
And both of these teams, they met ranked in the top 10 7 consecutive times. And of course, we know the draft picks and the Miami history of feeding the NFL, and then the infamous wide right game, which incidentally I was at. So I think that's number 9 for me.
Okay.
Number 8 might surprise you and others, and I think Alabama LSU. While it's not necessarily considered a traditional rivalry, it's a huge rivalry because of the.
I'm usually more worried about that game than I am the Iron Bowl.
Yeah,
Every
especially
year. Here, at least the last 5-6 years.
Give Auburn a little love on the Iron Bowl. They play Alabama tough.
Oh, absolutely, but
they play above themselves in the Iron Bowl.
Here, I guess what I'm saying is here the last 5-6 years, LSU's been the better team than Auburn.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the bigger threat to Alabama getting.
Yeah, and I look forward to the Alabama LSU game.
Oh yeah,
it's more than the Iron Bowl, with the exception of the tradition of the Iron Bowl.
And that's kind of where I was going with it.
I follow you.
That's kind of where
I follow you, but I got them at number 8. Yep. And I mean that rivalry's given us number 1 versus number 2 3 times since 2010.
Right.
That's why it made my list.
Yep.
There was just too many good traditional rivalries to bump it up higher for me. Right. Not to mention the GOAT. The GOAT coached at LSU, and I love the fact that it drives LSU fans crazy.
They hate that he left.
They are. They're still mad about it. LSU fans are mad about that. Number 7, I got to go Ivy League, man. Harvard, Yale. I mean, I don't care. Obviously, it's not going to be, blue chip, 5-star football. Yeah. But that rivalry, we've got.
Going to be the 2 smartest teams.
I'll have a drink to that. Definitely going. SAT scores are the highest in that game for sure. For sure. I just like the pageantry, the passion, the history of Harvard, Yale, and I mean they've been going at it since 1875, and to be honest with you, those teams have produced a lot of winning national championship teams years ago, of course.
Oh yeah.
Definitely not current history.
Yeah. Now you're talking like 20s and 30s now.
I know. It's some old, but I mean, you still got to give them some love.
Oh yeah.
Number 6 for me, finishing outside of the
top 5.
Of the top 5, I'm going to go with the USC Notre Dame game. I love the USC Notre Dame game, so
you think that one over USC UCLA?
Yeah, I don't view that.
There again, that's the state championship.
And Notre Dame is you cannot not recognize the national brand.
It's a brand
of Notre Dame,
and
I have to give Notre Dame some sort of love on my list, just because it's Notre Dame, and I mean, I like honestly, I like the Michigan Notre Dame game better. It to me was more power packed than the USC Notre Dame. But if you go back through and just look at the history of the USC Notre Dame game, I mean the Heisman Trophy winners, and I know we're talking about years ago.
Yeah.
And the fact that this game came about because of Newt Rockney's wife. She wanted to go to LA. She wanted to go out there and play in some warmer weather. So she had Newt scheduled USC, and that's what brought about that rivalry. And these are just 2 blue bloods, and what I like about it now is the fact that USC's moving to the Big Ten, and I think that's going to just make that rivalry even better.
I'm ready for Notre Dame to join a conference.
Well, I think this might precipitate them jumping to the Big over the ACC. I mean, the Big's got the television contract, the money involved.
The Big Ten fits them better.
Much better fit.
I mean,
better fit than USC.
To me, Notre Dame, the Big Ten's the best fit for them, without a doubt.
I agree.
Without a doubt.
And now Big Ten's got the contract and the money that, Notre Dame doesn't. They've been such a brand on their own,
right.
which drives me insane.
Because they haven't done anything since Lou Holtz.
No, they need to be in a conference. They need to earn their. Right now, they don't earn their way into the playoffs. So
I agree.
All right, so now we're at the top 5.
What do you want to do? Your honorable mentions?
Oh yeah, I'll do. Well, I already did one. I threw Michigan, Notre Dame in there. I like the Florida-Tennessee game. I think that game has a lot of heat and a lot of passion. I do like the Florida State and Florida game as well. Mm-hmm. It's SEC against ACC,
right.
And I realize
and
both
there again,
teams,
when Tebow and
both teams have fallen off,
right?
And in USC, UCLA
okay.
are my honorable mention, and then last but not least, Alabama, Tennessee,
the third Saturday of October.
Yeah,
and that used to be
a good one.
One of the best.
Tennessee blew it,
but
Tennessee blew it. Y'all have blown that rivalry up.
Hopefully they're
back.
Hopefully because I did pick them as one of my sleeper teams to watch out for this year. So
I think
that game's gonna be a little sneaky scary this year.
It's scary for sure. It's at Knoxville.
So we can't take that game lightly.
No, I agree. So that's my bottom 5, and that's my honorable mention.
Okay. Well, let's jump into it. I know we've got.
Anyone you didn't agree with?
Well, like I said, after the top 5, I just kind of wasn't really interested.
Well, that's why they're in the bottom 5, man.
So I was like, I just want to focus on the ones that right. Even if you're not a fan of those teams, you're going to watch them.
Right.
A lot of those that you just mentioned, it's going to be mainly the fans of those schools that are going to really want to watch those games. To me, these 5 rivalries, you're going to tune in for these games, whether you're a fan or if you're a fan of football, and because they all usually determine conference champions, playoff teams, national. They except for one of the rivalries, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
You're giving away.
I know. A little teaser.
I think our lists will probably be identical. To be honest with you.
Well, I think it's the same 5 games, but I think we've got a couple of them flip flopped because coming in at number 5 for me was the Red River Showdown.
Okay.
And I think you said you had them at 4.
I do have them at 4.
But, Texas leads this all-time 62, 50, and 5. And, of course, it's called the Red River Showdown because the Red River is what separates the 2 states. And, this is another one. It's lost a little of the luster because Texas was good and Oklahoma wasn't. Then Oklahoma was good and then Texas wasn't. So if we can get these 2 teams back to both being national contenders, and I'm hoping that Sarkisian's going to do that for Texas.
And they're both moving into the SEC.
They're both coming to the SEC, so they'll be able to continue this rivalry.
Right, yeah.
This rivalry started October 10th, 1900.
Yep. Do you know that's older than the state of Oklahoma?
Is it really?
Their rivalry is older than the state of Oklahoma.
I did not know that.
It's crazy.
And, of course, they've been playing it. And one thing I do like about, not every rivalry is played at a neutral field.
Right.
This one is at the Cotton Bowl.
So
I do like. That was one thing that
it's
I didn't
like. The geographic center between the 2.
Yeah, and that's one thing I didn't like about the Iron Bowl. Going to a home and away. I liked it being, even though Auburn would argue that Birmingham wasn't neutral.
Oh, but Birmingham is half and half.
And then we also outgrew that stadium. Wasn't big enough. But so that was my number 5. Was there anything you wanted to add about Texas and Oklahoma?
Well, what I like most about that game really is the fact that both those teams converge under the stadium before they run onto the field, and it adds that little heat.
Yeah.
They already have the heat, but I like the fact that there could be a little extra heat in the underneath. Yeah, a little stare down. It's a good game.
And it usually is an important game.
And here's a little fact I got. In '76, Darrell Royal, the Texas coach, he accused Barry Switzer of coming down and spy gating Texas's practices, which he vehemently
denied.
And then years later in an interview, he
admitted
that he did. He did. So I've never liked Barry Switzer.
Right,
Oklahoma fans
right.
never have liked him. So,
Right.
but at any rate, that's a good rivalry. I do have them at 4.
And who's your 5?
5th to me was the world's largest cocktail party.
Georgia and Florida.
Georgia, Florida.
We flip-flopped those two.
Okay.
So I had that game at 4 and Texas, Oklahoma at 5. But, yeah, I mean, to me, they were both right there with each other.
I agree. I just went with that at I just felt like the Texas Oklahoma game was a little stronger.
Yeah, but the Florida Georgia, they just got a better name.
Yeah, that is a good name. It's improperly named though. Those are beer drinking schools. Those aren't wine and cheese.
They're not drinking
No, they're
bourbon.
not drinking wine or drinking bourbon. Those are beer drinking schools, man. So that I don't know about
But
why
also-
it's named that, but
Also, that game historically, that you're the driver for the SEC East coming out of that game.
yeah.
So that's what I like about, like I said, these rivalry games. Usually there's something on the line.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, easily.
This is another one in a neutral field.
Yeah,
in
neutral,
Jacksonville.
except for about 7 years. And they have their own Hall of Fame just for this game.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they got their own Hall of Fame, and they do play for a trophy. The Big Ten has all their little rivalry games or trophy games.
Yep.
But this game plays for the Okefenokee Or. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I
either.
didn't know that either.
But I agree. I had my last notes. The title of the East, it runs through these two teams.
Yeah, yep.
Mostly Georgia, but it
Well,
does,
here lately.
yeah,
yes.
it does run through these
But
two teams.
there was a time when Florida owned it for many years.
All right, so let's move on. Let's go to. Let's see if-
And number 3, this
Number
was
3.
the one that I think we both picked the Alabama Auburn Iron Bowl for number 3, but it kind of surprised you
Yeah.
that I didn't have it either 1 or 2.
Yeah, I thought you would have it 1. I thought I would shock you with my 1, but
Right.
I was I wasn't thinking about your list at the same time, but I
Right.
was thinking about your
Right.
list. But yeah, I agree. I think the Iron Bowl, to me, in the grand scope of rivalries,
Yeah.
I think the Iron Bowl is the 3rd best game.
Now, and I think part of the reason that we don't quite see it like residents of the state of Alabama, Alabama's got no pro sports.
Right.
So this game, to the people that live in Alabama, that grew up, you're either an Auburn fan or you're an Alabama fan.
Yeah, we didn't grow up in
So we didn't
either-
grow up
right.
with that hatred
Exactly.
for each other. So I think that takes a little of it off for us,
but
even though we're alumni.
I also think I try to think of these rivalry games in terms of what would the nation think. What would people in Oregon think? Are they going to watch? Do they even know where Auburn is?
Probably.
Did
not.
you know where the Auburn University was before you actually went to Alabama?
I just knew it was
I
some
did.
cow pasture
I
somewhere.
mean, I didn't even know Auburn University until I moved to the Panhandle of Florida. I mean, that's the honest truth.
Right.
No offense to Auburn, I guess, as long as I say with all due respect or no offense, that should be smooth, right?
Probably not.
I mean, I just don't think.
Well, and I think with the current history,
The state of affairs of Auburn football.
I think it has also kind of tarnished this rivalry a little bit because
Yeah, sure.
I still think that Alabama is without a doubt Auburn's biggest rival.
Oh,
You
easily.
know, that
But-
is their
yeah, except for
Now-
Georgia, but they try to prop
but
Georgia up.
They're gonna give Alabama the best game. They're planning for that game year round. Alabama game plans for Auburn the week of Auburn.
Right.
Auburn plans for that Alabama game year round.
Yeah.
And so I definitely believe that, yes, as far as the rivalry goes, it still means the same to Auburn. But I think with the recent success that Saban has had at Alabama, I think their rival is winning a national championship.
Oh yeah, the standard for Alabama is different, but man, I have to tell you, man, we've come into that Iron Bowl vastly talented.
Oh yeah,
to Auburn, and we struggle.
And they beat us. Yeah.
We struggle,
and that's why I say I think it's more of a rivalry for them.
Yeah, they're fired up
than it is for Alabama.
Because we're not. I don't think our dudes are overlooking them at all. I don't think Coach Saban allows that.
Right.
I think Auburn just plays
out of their minds.
Out of their minds. They play great football in the Iron Bowl. It's actually, it's actually surprising, but. No, I definitely. And did you know there was a trophy in the Iron Bowl besides just named the Iron Bowl?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't know it's called the James K. Voy Trophy. I didn't know that he was president of both universities.
Right.
I think that's pretty cool. But I mean, all the way from wrong way bow to the kick six.
Right.
It's just been a good game.
That is one thing I will say about it is it doesn't matter how good one team is or how bad the other team is. It's always going to come down to the wire. It's going to be a competitive game.
It is. It's always a good game.
Last year, we had to come. Bryce had to pull one out of his ass in overtime.
That's right. Yeah.
And we were clearly the better team last year. But
we've been the better team for many. I think we were better than them in 2013 when they won the national championship.
Well,
was it 13? No, that was FSU.
It was
2010.
Yes.
2010 with Cam.
When Cam Newton,
but we were up 21-3.
And Cam came out at halftime and just took over that game.
He did. He did a Cam special.
Mm-hmm.
He was special. So that's definitely number 3 for me. We're a consensus on that.
Okay.
And I think we're a consensus on 2.
Yeah, my number 2 is the game.
The game.
Michigan, Ohio State. And here again, I talk about Alabama, Auburn. You grow up, if you're an Alabama fan, you're taught to hate Auburn. If you're an Auburn fan, you're taught to hate Alabama. The hatred between
it's deep, man. It's deep.
It may, and it's not even. They're not even the same state, but
no. But do you know there was a war, the Toledo War? There was, a real war of territory.
Okay.
That sort of started the hatred, and then of course Woody Hayes referred to Michigan as the team up north, and now Michigan refers to them as the team down south, and then Ohio State puts a red X.
I was going to say I love that they will not even recognize a letter. They won't even recognize the letter M on Rivalry Week.
If it wasn't so much for our rivalry game that's number 1. This is easily to me.
Oh yeah.
Football wise, you think about it.
Yeah, the Big Ten title is usually decided in this game. What team is going to represent the Big Ten in college football playoffs is decided in this game.
Yeah.
This game's been played since October of 1897.
Nice.
So
nice.
Michigan actually holds a slight lead. They better step it up a little bit.
Well,
but they're
Ohio State,
the all-time series 58, 51 and 6.
Right.
So that's pretty tight. As far as all these,
each team has had runs. Like Michigan owned Ohio State during the John Cooper days, and of course Jim Tressel reversed that and owned Michigan, and now Michigan's reversing that.
Right. And of the top 5, that's actually the closest series.
It is, yeah.
Now the next one that we're going to talk about is pretty close to it, but not quite as close. But
listen to this stat on the Michigan game. This is pretty cool. Did you know in 06 still sticks in my craw like no other game. In 06, Michigan was 1, the Buckeyes were 2, and it was a late personal foul call on the sideline, a late hit on the quarterback, which extended. Michigan would have gotten the ball, and they would have knelt down and won the game, and they would have finished number 1. However, they got a call, and Ohio State went on to win 42-39. But do you know the winning Pick 4 lottery number that night was 4239? That's a true story. 42-39, the winning lottery pick was 4239.
That's crazy.
That seems crazy. But it was the first 100,000 fan in attendance game, Michigan, Ohio State. To me, it's the game.
Yes.
It is the game.
And, the name just says it all. It's just to the point.
Yeah.
The game.
Yeah.
So that brings us
Yep.
a little drum roll to our number one rivalry.
I don't think it's a drum roll.
I know it's not going to be a surprise based on
Nah.
what we've mentioned, but Army-Navy.
Army-Navy.
Does it get any better than the pageantry, the tradition, all the cadets in uniform? After the game is over, both teams go to the losing teams.
The winner sings the losers and then
they go to the losers student section first and sing that alma mater. Then they go to the winning section and sing that alma mater. And it's
the weather.
It's always played up north, and
the fact
Philly, New York. They're always up there in the cold.
The heart that's and the stories during the game. The stories of our fallen soldiers, the stories of our wounded warriors. And I mean, it just doesn't get any better than Army.
No, it's.
Game.
I mean that. Yeah.
I have to. That has to be number one for me.
And it's kind of surprising because we didn't talk about it before we came up with our notes.
No, there was no sharing of info.
You thought I was going to have the Iron Bowl as number one. I figured you'd have Michigan, Ohio State as number one, and we didn't pick either one of them. We both said Army, Navy. I mean, it is just
without a doubt. To me, I feel like for one day of the year. Yeah. We're all united, Well,
and that's another thing about it is usually when they play, there aren't a lot of games being played, so they do get all the focus. But also, like Alabama, Auburn, it's the state of Alabama bragging rights, SEC West bragging rights, Michigan, Ohio State, Big Ten bragging rights. This, to me, is almost United States bragging rights. This is nationwide bragging rights.
Yeah, unless you were in the Army or the Navy. I mean, who do you pull for in that game?
I just pull for it to be a good game.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm like, if I had to pick an academy, I pick Air Force Falcons because my dad is a career Air Force man.
I just pull for. I just want it to be a good competitive game. I don't really have one team that I always pull for. And then this game also usually has pretty big implication on the Commander-in-Chief's trophy for the armed forces.
Sure, yeah. Usually, yeah. So, I think Air Force pulled that trophy last year.
Right. So, no, that's we were actually 1 through 3 we were the same. We just flipped.
Yeah, we flipped 4 and 5, and I'm sure we would have been. I think bottom 5 might have been interesting had you ranked.
Yeah, because I probably would have had a few different ones.
Probably. I don't know. See, I like the Princeton Harvard game too. I'm like a closet Ivy League fan, so I do like those
West Virginia
games.
Pitt's usually a good game.
I figured you would come with that one.
Yeah,
they play that. Don't they play that like next week?
I don't even know. That early?
It seems like they play that game really early.
But then I like some of the Big Ten rivalries where they've got
the trophy, the Paul Bunyan,
the big axe, or the jug, or
the little brown jug, Michigan, Minnesota.
So I kind of like those where and then you can see that the players have fun. They'll be carrying that big axe around the field and just it really means something to them.
That's something that would be fun to talk about. Is I grew up a Michigan fan,
right?
And didn't really go to a lot of college football games, but I went back a couple of years ago to a Michigan game. It was Michigan Notre Dame, actually.
I remember.
And in the South, we have this view that our football is better, our tailgates are better, but the tailgate up there was special too. And so, and I've been to a Notre Dame game at Notre Dame.
Right.
I went to the Florida State Notre Dame game. I
remember
tried to get out and experience and being at Notre Dame at South Bend. I mean, that was truly once in a lifetime special to be in that stadium.
I mean, I'm just glad it's football season.
Yeah, it's a true story.
I love the summer. I love the summertime, and I don't ever want the summer to end, but my favorite season is football season.
Yeah, well, I love the fall, and it's because of football. And so I'm glad. That was a good ranking show. I enjoy talking about rivalries. I think we'll revisit this a little bit come some of these games during the week.
Oh, absolutely.
When we get to those weeks in the
Yeah.
season.
Yep. Absolutely.
Excellent.
All
Well,
right.
good show, man.
Yeah.
Good show.
Yeah. So I think it's time for us to head over to
Yeah.
the bar. We're going to try some Woodfords. We got 3 different Woodfords to sample tonight. And, so we'll taste them, and then we're going to rate that shit.
4, 3, 2, are you?
Colby, it's time to rate that shit.
I think we should do it.
Let's do it.
We brought 3 Woodfords in tonight. We got just the straight bourbon, we got the wheated bourbon, and we got the double oaked.
All right.
So all 3 of these obviously are distilled at the Versailles Distillery, the Woodford Reserve in Versailles, Kentucky. Each one of them are 90.4 proof. They're all aged 7 years. Now these 2 are aged in the same barrel for 7 years, not together.
Are we gonna even taste the difference?
Yes, because the mash on this is high wheat.
Okay. All right.
This is their regular mash. This is the high wheat mash. And then this one is aged 7 years, but it's aged in one barrel for 6 years. And then they move it to another barrel that's been recently charred for the last year. So that makes so they're all 7 years. They're all 90.4, but they're all going to have a slightly different taste.
All right. Well, this tasting ought to speak to a lot of people because this is a popular bourbon.
It is. And if you have a chance to go to this distillery,
absolutely.
We went there last year. Beautiful. 5-star. You're going to drive through horse pastures, horse fields, these huge, beautiful farms with the rolling hills. I mean, it
does look like a horse ranch.
Yes.
As you drive in. It's almost like you go into a winery in Napa Valley.
Exactly.
It's upscale.
If you're going to go and you can only see a few, this is definitely one you want to hit. You definitely want to hit the Woodford. And like I said, I mean, a lot of distillers will put bourbons out after they've aged 4 years. It's cheaper. You don't lose as much through evaporation. They're losing 50% every barrel they make. So it's a more expensive way, but they take pride in their bourbons, just like we take pride in our rating system. So why don't you tell them about our rating system?
Well, we got what we call our own unique rating system. It's a 1 through 4 scale. 1 for us is just not good. We didn't enjoy it. Doesn't matter what the price is. It wasn't a good bourbon. We like to brown bag that.
That's right.
Our second one is a good bourbon, but typically it's used as a mixer.
It doesn't stand on its own.
No. You either have to put some Coke in there or whatever your favorite mixer is.
Right.
That's a 2, so that's a mixer. Third for us, it's getting better. Mm-hmm. It's becoming more of the standard.
Right.
And that would be you just drop a rock in there.
Throw a cube in there and you're good to go.
Maybe a little. I know it's not higher proof, but a little stronger in taste. You want to dilute it down a little.
Knock it down a little bit. And then what's our 4?
Well, last but not least is neat. The way bourbon is meant to be sipped.
And I'm expecting some good ratings. Woodford, like I said, they are one of the elite distillers, and most everything they do is going to be good.
When we started out when I started, you've been doing the bourbon thing for a little bit longer,
right?
When I started out on this bourbon journey, this is where I landed as my top shelf.
Yes.
This is what I thought the standard of bourbon was, but obviously over the course of the last few years, I have found that to be different.
The nice thing about Woodford, like I said, it's all 90 proof, which is, we don't even like it until it gets to 90 proof. These 2 bourbons are roughly $40. So you get a good quality bourbon that you I call it a tried and true because you can drink it all 4 ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Not brown
bag,
but you could. I like to make an old fashioned out of it.
Sure, absolutely.
I'll put it, if I'm out by the pool, I might put it with some Diet Coke. I'll drink it on the rocks, or I'll drink it neat. These bourbons, the Woodford bourbons, can cover the full gamut,
exactly.
And that's what I like about the Woodford.
Yeah, they are. Let's
dive into the first one. This is just the straight Kentucky bourbon.
Yep. No, it's pretty standard in color.
It's got that light amber look. It's supposed to give you hints of like toffee, chocolate,
caramel.
Yeah, sweet smell to it as
it
well.
does.
Yeah, I get those flavors for sure.
And there's going to be some spice on the end of it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
That-
starts out sweet,
Yes.
and then it ends with a little bit of spice.
Yeah, a little spice, a little peppery.
But yeah,
That's good. I mean, like you said, it's tried and true. It's a chameleon of bourbons. It blends with anything.
Yeah,
You can do it
that's
with
a
what you want with.
good way to describe it. All right, Dust, rate that shit.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna rate that a 9. I'm adding them all up.
You're gonna give it all of it, the complete
I'm gonna add them all up, divide by 3, and we come to on the rocks.
on the rocks. And that's what I see. I mean,
a Woodford to me. I mean, if I want to mix something, I might go a little bit cheaper
right.
on the bourbon and
Right.
find me something that I like.
Yeah,
to taste a little cheaper
I'm
and mix it.
Chances are I'm gonna mix a Maker's before I mix a Woodford.
Yeah,
but
just-
if I'm out somewhere, if I'm on a cruise,
Yeah, exactly. Like if this is the top shelf of wherever you're at, you can't go wrong.
right.
You can't go wrong. I like it.
All right. So we both said that was on the rocks.
On the rocks.
All right. So now this is the wheated version,
right.
and it's supposed to be sweeter because it's 52% wheat, 20 barley, 20 corn,
Okay.
and 8% rye. So
How much wheat was in this one? You remember?
I didn't look up the mash bill on that one,
All right.
but this one's going to be higher corn.
Corn. Right. Yeah. No.
And this one again, you're supposed to get a little cocoa and a little fruit. This is supposed to be a lot more fruit than the straight.
Definitely get vanilla. To me, I'm picking up vanilla notes in this one.
Vanilli.
Vanilla. Blame it on the rain. Yeah, no, I like this one. I like how it smells. I like how it looks.
I definitely get the fruit out of this one.
Yeah, the back end.
Yep.
Back end.
Back
you get a
end
little fruity.
like a pear, an apple.
All right, you're real good at this, man. I get the fruitiness on the back end for sure. I like the taste up front, the smell up front. I mean, it's Woodford. Rate that shit.
I'm gonna cleanse my palate here a second. I think I'm gonna have to stick with the 3.
Yeah, I agree. I think 3. I don't know though. I have to admit, I think I like this one better.
I was gonna say, if we're comparing the two,
I thought we would like this one better just because it's more wheat.
right?
But I actually like this.
Yeah, because this, Maker's Mark is kind of who introduced going with the higher wheat into the bourbons,
Good. Nice history lesson.
right? Because they were looking for that sweeter taste,
Right.
But I think Woodford was able to accomplish a sweeter taste without having to go with the wheat. I do like this one better, but to me, they're still. I think they're both 3s.
They're so comparable. I agree. I mean, it's a 3 for me.
Okay.
It's a 3 for me. But I definitely would buy this one.
Same. And that one's one.
Same price, right?
Same price. That one's easier to find actually than the wheated. That one's won like 13 gold medals. I mean, it's a very
it's a standard.
award-winning bourbon. Now this is the double oaked. I explained the process where they age it in one barrel for 6 years, and then they go to the second barrel for that final year.
Definitely richer in color.
Darker
from that-
color from that extra
that
char.
So this one, same proof.
Same
but
proof.
I probably will get more of a hug, maybe not necessarily the hug, but more of the oakiness
The
out
oaky,
of it.
yeah. And this one's going to be about $55, so it's going to be pricier because of the extra aging that they do in it. And this is you're supposed to get some nuts
D's?
and some fruit and some spices.
No, that definitely up front, very oaky. Very oaky. I don't enjoy it.
Yeah, Double oaked is a good way to describe it.
I don't enjoy it. I mean, I don't know why you pay extra for extra oak. I mean, oak is not my favorite.
I mean, if
Oak I like because of the color, not necessarily due to the for
Right.
the flavor.
well, you know, there's people that are wine drinkers that don't want that oak, and then there's people that want that extra oak. So I mean,
It's a drier taste.
exactly. So
Drier
if
taste.
you're the type that really enjoys that oak, it's a good bourbon for you.
Right.
Obviously, we don't prefer the oak, so
Yeah,
for
no.
me, it's a 2. I'm not gonna quite say brown bagging it, but it's a 2 for me.
I'm brown bagging.
Are you brown bagging it?
Yeah, put the bag on there.
I'll let you have the honors.
I'm brown bagging double oak. I don't think you should waste your money on it because
I mean, it is pricey.
this is better flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Unless you just like a darker looking bourbon, this is better flavor.
Right.
This is a more versatile bourbon. You can everybody should have a bottle of this on their shelf.
Absolutely.
Just because of how versatile it is. You can mix it, you can knead it, you can rock it.
And you can about find it any restaurant you go in.
I think Woodford should do away with that. I don't even know if there's a huge following for double oak.
Well, now I
don't
know
like
it has won like 7 gold medals
All right,
at
well,
some of the competitions, but there again, I think it's kind of a niche. You know,
Yeah.
it's designed for people that really enjoy that. You know, because a lot of them are coming out with a toast version.
Right.
But
I would prefer if they had gone up in proof on the double oak.
right, I can see that.
Then it would be different. It would be a different bourbon for me. But it's a brown bag for me now. That's
Yeah.
cool. Cool.
I was close with the brown bag. I just couldn't do it to Woodford. I just couldn't do it. I didn't have the heart.
Yeah, I got you. Well, Woodford can survive off of my brown bag. rating
Right.
for
Yeah.
sure.
No, I mean that you cannot go wrong with that right there.
Exactly.
Yeah, like you said, everybody. Like I said earlier, I'm always gonna have a bottle of chicken cock on my shelf. I'm always gonna have a bottle of Woodford. My son, he absolutely loves Woodford.
Yeah, and my dad, my mom, my brother, this is what I put them on.
Yeah.
And they love Woodford.
And the bitters I use are the Woodford brand bitters. The old fashioned syrup that I use is the Woodford. I mean, Woodford is just
And it should be on everybody's tour list for sure.
Yeah. They're just a top notch, top of the line distillery. So
Cool.
well, that wraps up episode 6. We'll be back next
Can you
week.
believe we've been doing this show for 6 weeks?
It feels like we've been doing it for 6 weeks.
6 shows. Seems like yesterday
That's
we
right.
talked
But you
about
know
starting.
what? But I tell you, the magic number for podcasts, most of them give up after 6 episodes.
Uh-oh.
So we're about to cross over
That's okay.
and film number 7 next week. Of course, we're gonna start out like we always do with
Right.
opening toast.
Opening toast.
Then we're gonna come in hot.
Come in hot, current events.
Come in hot.
We'll figure that out during the week.
And then, of course, this week was kind of the kickoff to college football season, but they call it week 0.
Week 0.
Next week is actually week 1.
Week 1.
A lot of big games out there. A lot of teams kicking off for the first time. So we'll have a little recap, talk about the first week of college football, and then I teased it a little bit. It might have been last week that I teased it, that I wanted to do a show where we discuss how do they still have a job.
I don't know.
So we're going to talk about different individuals. They might be athletes. They might be broadcasters, reporters, whatever. It's going to be related to sports. But
How in the world
do they still have a job? So we're going to discuss. We're going to come out with a list next week of the people that we just don't get it. We just don't see it.
Join us to bash these people because I know our lists are similar to those.
Oh
out
yeah,
there.
yeah. I'm sure people are going to be like, I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah, it's gonna be good.
and then of
It's gonna be
course, then we're gonna come back over here to the bar, and we'll
good. Yeah, we're gonna rate some more
pick,
shit.
we'll pick some bourbons out. You know, I don't know if we're gonna do it next week, but I want to do a Japanese whiskey bourbon record. I haven't tried any of them, and I've heard good things. I've heard bad things. We still want to do the old Forster flight. You know,
Yeah,
so
we
we've
got-
got some things that we
got a lot to choose
that we want
from
to
out
do.
there.
But
It's
next
budget. It's a matter of budget. It gets expensive
That's
rating
right.
all these
That's
bourbons.
why we need these like, follow, and shares. Give them the socials. Dustin.
Yeah, man, hit that smash that like button, subscribe, do what you got to do to keep us going. We're going past them 6 episodes.
That's right.
And if you don't, we're still going past those 6
yeah.
episodes because we don't care. Because we like to talk and we're going to get together and talk regardless. So whether you like us or not, we're still going to be here. So you can follow us, you can like us and share us on all the socials. We're on TikTok, Instagram, we're on YouTube, and of
Spotify,
course,
Apple.
Spotify, Apple.
We've got an
You can-
email address.
Yeah, you can listen to us on Spotify and Apple,
Right.
and you can email us, argue with us, give us some content advice, give us some bourbon. We'll even give you a shout out if you give us some bourbon choices. You can email us at bourbonbuzzandballinpr@gmail.com.
That's right. You got something we can
Yeah, let's
finish the show off with?
yeah.
So until next week,
Yeah.
everybody have a good Labor Day. You know, Labor Day
Yeah,
is
have a
next
good
next
Labor
Monday,
Day.
and we'll probably film next Tuesday after Labor Day.
next
So
Tuesday.
everybody have a good Labor Day, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.
Cheers.